Welcome to Dig Deep, the mining podcast. In this podcast, we go deep into mining news, hot topics, and live interviews with mining professionals and leading figures in the mining industry. Introducing your host, Rob Tyson, founder and director of Mining International and Mining International Executive, a leading global mining recruitment and headhunting agency.
Hi, mining community. Welcome back to another episode of the Dig Deep, the mining podcast, the show that brings you the latest insights, thought leadership, and stories from across the global mining industry. In today's show, we have Jorgen Evjen, who's the CEO of Akobo Minerals, a Scandinavian-based gold producer and exploration company with operations in Ethiopia. They've been quietly taking one of the most unconventional paths in modern gold mining, from years of uncertainty and capital pressure to the high grade of a Segele discovery. This story is much about judgment, discipline and trust as it is about geology. We're going to talk about the moment the project became real and what responsible mining actually means, what decisions that have consequences on the ground, and why Ethiopia's perceived risk often differs from the reality. We're also going to explore execution, where the plans met friction, and how leadership assumptions had to change when operating far away from obviously a typical Nordic environment. Finally, we're going to look at investor pressure, maintaining integrity under acceleration, and what Akobo next phase truly depends on over the next sort of 12 to 24 months. So a lot to unpack there. So Jørgen, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm doing good. Thanks.
Great to hear. So as we always start these podcasts off, just wonder if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your career, how you got into the mining industry, how your career has developed from back when you started in the industry to sort of present day. So I'll hand it over to you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great, thanks. So background, I'm Norwegian. I've been living most of my life in Norway. I did my studies, my master's in finance in France for 5 years. As you then can tell, my background is not from mining, but from finance. So I've been working most of my life with focus on, call it, a lot of difficult projects from a finance perspective, restructuring, really working down in the details, but all the way up also to the investor side and the shareholder side. So I've been having the opportunity to work a lot within corporate finance, on the execution side, on the transaction side there. Then moving over to more of a CFO in both listed and non-listed companies. Been working for private equity companies, but also then the listed companies with a lot of shareholders. So that's really my background. Mining, I didn't meet before. I stumbled over this project 15 years ago. Before that, I focused mainly on tech, software, telecom, and that sector. Not going to say that it's similar, but it has some common points here, and I guess that's related a lot to execution, getting things done, moving forward, and what any business is trying to achieve. So that's my formal background. I'm now 50 years old, wife, 2 kids, a dog. Might bark, but let's see. And that's it. The mining side, 15 years ago. By chance, through some common friends, met with an Ethio-Norwegian who had a project in Ethiopia, needed some money, and looked interesting and fun. That was sort of the view on it, nothing more. It was a plan and developed by some of, I would say probably the best local geologists in Ethiopia at that point. They all came out of the National Geological Survey and mapped all of Ethiopia and thought at some point, well, let's try to create something on our own here in Ethiopia. but they lacked the funding. So we managed to get some money here in Norway to support the project. Became a joint venture, 50-50 at that point. And since then, it's been developing. The first 10 years, I did this on my spare time. We had a team of 10 people in Ethiopia. We had a board here in Norway with some competence from the oil and gas industry and the geology side there, which is it's not exactly the same, but there are a lot of similarities in how you do exploration and production and going from junior to senior in the oil industry and in the mining industry. But I managed then all the administration, the company, the equity raises we did, the funding on my spare time. And then back in 2020, which we'll get back to, something happened with the drilling program. We hit the bonanza grades and we thought, okay, either it's time to leave it or it's time to really get going. So that's when I joined full time as a CEO, and I've been here since.
Great. No, that's an interesting story. That obviously it's your first project and you've been with the company for 15 years now. So, obviously Segele is one of the highest grade gold discoveries globally. With 22.7 grams per ton. But it follows obviously years of setbacks, emotional swings, and obviously capital pressures. At what point did you realise that this was truly significant, and how close were you, I suppose, at any stage to walk away?
Yes, I think that's been on my mind many times over the last 15 years. The first 10 years, continuous struggle to try to find the money to keep on moving, keep on going, paying the employee's salary every month. And by the way, which we have done for the last 15 years, never had one single month of not paying a salary. So that's always been the drive here. How can we keep up the project, make sure the employees are taken care of, develop it bit by bit, having supportive shareholders all along the way. And without that, this would not have been possible. So in 2015, we did an RC drilling campaign. It didn't come up with much. And at that point, we were a bit like, oof, okay, this is hard. This is difficult. But we kept on going, and then finally in 2019 we made a final decision. Okay, let's do a proper drill program and let's see if we can hit something. And at that point we got a drilling company from up north in Norway to join us. They shipped the drilling rig down. They came on board, joined us for many months, and they started drilling. And I think it was hole 3, this core came out that they told us just looked like a picture, and it was just pure visible gold in it. And at that point, we knew that we've struck something of interest and something significant. Just to give you an idea, after drilling 20,000 meters and putting it into the block model together with the RC drilling we did in 2015, it turned out we missed the vein by 1 meter in 2015. So, we could have been here maybe 5 years ago, but that's the way it is. I guess that's where stamina and perseverance is important, not to lose hope. But that was, I guess, the point of, call it, no return. We saw it, we saw the gold, and that together with all the artisanal mining activity in the area that we've seen for years, up to 30,000 artisanal miners in our area, really doing a lot of gold, even down into the bedrock 30 meters below. That told us this is something. Just elaborating a bit around how we found this. There's a story that, of course, the Kufaris, the Kufari, that's what the artisanal miners are called. Some guy, he fell asleep, and during that part, he got a dream, and someone told him that below here, you'll find gold, and he started digging. And that became the main pit from the artisanal miners, where I think they took out several hundred kilos of gold by hand. And of course, putting the drill hole straight underneath that main pit. I'm not going to say it was a no-brainer, but we did it, and we found it, and we continued working then on that first discovery that the artisanal miners did, actually.
You've said that your ESG approach evolved from being academically structured to something more practical. What does responsible mining really actually mean on site, obviously in day-to-day decisions, and why do you prefer to describe it as simply as doing it right? And I suppose, where does the industry overcomplicate ESG compared to what truly matters on the ground?
Yeah, I've said that, and we started out with a very good partner. Helped us a lot on preparing the ground, making us understand and myself understand ESG, what it is, the development, the trends in the market, the trends in the industry. And moving from CSR to ESG, don't help them, but make them help themselves kind of concept. A lot of work and paperwork is done, of course, on the ESG side. I think, unfortunately, a lot of that misses the on the ground understanding of what is really needed. A lot of good concepts, and we've been working on them. But at the end of the day, you work with a community, a local community. We've worked with them for 15 years, and they have needs. They have, basic needs that we can help with, and that help is, in my view, fundamental. Regardless if that gives them the opportunity to start making money on their own or managing on their own, it's just part of it. Like water, like environment, like shredding the plastic. Making roads, infrastructure, all of these things. I think that's still the basic that you need to start off with. And there's nothing that's not against what ESG is. It is what it is. But to me, if you just have the gut feeling of doing it right and knowing what to do, then you come a good step a good step ahead of everything else. So it's not to overcomplicate it. Of course, you have all the industry standards, you have noise, pollution, water, all of that. That's sort of a bit of a separate technical perspective, in my view. But really, the ESG part, or doing it right, or corporate social responsibility, is more of interacting, being a good neighbor, help each other, and then develop it from there. But that is the most important thing: keeping the good neighborhood or the good relationship in the area. And we managed to do that for 15 years. We've never had one day of interruption, more or less, in our operations, and that tells me that we're doing something that's good for all parties.
Ethiopia is often labelled high risk from, I suppose, the outside world. In practical terms, what is the real risk with mining in Ethiopia? And what do foreign mining companies most often misunderstand about things like permitting, engagement with authorities in Addis Ababa? And how much of a success is paperwork, and how much is long-term trust and presence?
Yeah. Long-term trust and presence is absolutely key. The paperwork is also, it is there, but that's not where you start. Just to give you an illustration of that, when I joined CEO 5 years ago, I started raising money because we wanted to accelerate, and I had everything ready, and someone told me, "Oh, your exploration license is about to run out." Okay, wow, that news to me. It shouldn't have been, of course, but suddenly it was. So sitting there with the money ready to hit the raise button, and no exploration license. What happened then? Well, I had to go to Ethiopia, and I spent 2 months every day sitting in the front office of the minister and waiting. for attention. I'm waiting to get someone to tell me if this is a go or no go. And then after 2 months, I just said, well, we can't do it. I'm leaving tomorrow, and this project will not continue. And at that point, I have a picture of myself and the GM at that time. We were pretty happy showing the signed exploration license agreement at that point. So yeah, you have to be there. You have to work with the system. Our mining license agreement that we got a few years later, we signed that in the hallway of the of the ministry, while the minister was on his way out to take the weekend. But that's okay. And you can't really prepare for everything. You have to accept that there's some uncertainty, and then you have to work with that and fix it. There will never be 100% in order when you get there. But I will say that it has changed a lot over the last few years. Mining is now really a core pillar of the Ethiopian industry and the development that they're focusing on. Compared to the last 30 years, given that we're the first new international mine to open since 1993 with Midrock and Legadembe. They haven't focused on this at all. So now they're catching up, doing a lot of good things. The mining license agreement that we signed is partly based on the International Bar Association template, and that I managed to get them to insert. We've opened our offshore account with Standard Bank in South Africa for the first, maybe not the first company in Ethiopia, but close to, based on the new directive from last year. We're granted export license, so we can start exporting the gold. We can retain the dollar. So there are a lot of these questions that I get every time from investors. They're starting to check out, and we clear them one by one. But it's not happening by themselves. We're here to help and support and develop the industry. That's part of our mandate. We're Ethiopian. That's part of the success here. And I don't think you can come just from abroad. I think you can send people in and out and fix things. We've built a strong local leadership team, Ethiopian. We have 200 Ethiopians at site. We have a few expats here and there that have special competence in underground mining and processing the really nice gold at the end. But apart from that, we're Ethiopian as much as possible, and that's something you need to take with you when you start working with the Ethiopian system. And if there's more risk here than anywhere else, no, I wouldn't say so at all. We've been through different political regimes over the last 15 years. We know that all of them would like the mining industry to thrive. There is no doubt about that. Yes, there have been some instability in the country. There are places you don't want to work yet. But in my view, it's improving every day. The IMF, the World Bank, the program, Ethiopia has been their best student so far, if you can put it like that. It's really going well. And worth mentioning, after 2 years of ongoing discussions with the National Bank and the Ethiopian Sovereign Fund, I got them to invest in our listed company in Oslo last year. First time ever that has happened. Money and US dollars going out of Ethiopia to support their industry. So it's happening, and it's happening now. But you need to be local, and you need to engage. That's it, and respect them as for who they are. They want to protect, of course, their own currency, their own gold, but also they do understand that it needs to be a win-win for both parties. Having 100% of nothing won't help them. Having 50% of 100 is really what's going to drive this forward.
Wonder if you can just give us an overview of mining in Ethiopia Obviously, our audience are all around the world, and I don't think we've had anyone on the podcast speak about mining in Ethiopia. So I just wonder if you can just give us a quick snapshot.
So mining in Ethiopia has been neglected for many, many, many years. We're the first mover. Behind us, we have Akobo Minerals, the Tulukapi project, that I think is now off the ground finally after many, many years. We're welcoming that. That's a $300-400 million project with international structures and financing with it. A 2 million ounce project, following the same Arabian-Nubian shield that we're part of. So that's the core geology that you'll find in Ethiopia. Goes all the way from, I think we're at the bottom more or less with our license area, goes all the way up to Saudi Arabia, of course. And then you have the Allied Gold, which probably is now the Segele group. They just acquired Allied, and with that they got the Kurmuk project in Ethiopia. That's also in the same belt, a bit north of us, a 2 million ounce project, $400 million, $500 million to be invested. I think Wheaton, one of the more professional streamers out there, they support that project with $175 million, and they wouldn't do that if the risk was on the extreme end or the high end. So that's where we are. We're getting to a place where we'll have a few mines running. The Lega Dembi old one, us, we're small, but still we're part of driving and being the first one actually pushing the boundaries. And then we have the two big ones coming after us. But after that, there's a huge gap in exploration. So what needs to happen now is focus on exploration. But I think that will happen not by itself, but almost once they see that mining is possible, that there are miners there to take over at some point, because usually people don't follow what we've done. We're still an explorer, but we have a mine to support our exploration. Usually you do the other way around. You prove up resources and you sell it to someone else to mine it. And I think that feeling that it's possible now to build a mine, operate the mine according to international requirements, and that international investors will get what they need, then you'll have sufficient trust enough to start exploration. And that's really where we are right now. We need more exploration into the country from professional exploration companies, not in country small exploration teams, but really money from abroad that can work here and see the geological upside for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. There's a lot of land available. This is not crowded at all. So in my view, Ethiopia will be a very important hub for mining the next 15 years or longer. And just to add to it, why we support Allied and Kefi and welcome all the competitors, if you can call it like that, is because we also benefit from this. There is very little mining service industry in Ethiopia, meaning we have to plan in a different way. Everything is imported. You can't just go to the local warehouse and buy what you need. That I hope will definitely change now when suddenly there's a local market with in-country mines that actually have a need for spare parts, for machines, for follow-up service level agreements and all of that. And we see an increase in from international mining service providers into Ethiopia these days. So yeah, just to give an idea, and from the structural side, the royalty is around 5-7%, pretty standard. There's a free carry to the government, normal 25% corporate tax. So not very complicated on the licensing side either. You can go into their cadastre portal, you can stake your claim, you can put your work program in, and you'll get it approved or not.
Many mining projects look at look robust, obviously, in resource models and feasibility studies, but struggle in execution. Where has execution been more difficult than expected at Akobo, operationally or financially? And what discipline do you have to impose internally to sort of stay on track? And I suppose if you look back, what did you have to simplify or de-optimize to make the project work in reality?
Yes. This has been a long journey, of course, even from when we got the first when we got our mining license agreement after having defined the resource, which of course still is a small resource. It's only 69,000 ounces, but the exploration potential is there, and there's a big upside to it. But we wanted the cash flow out of that 22.7 gram per ton deposit. We thought that was a good idea. I don't think everyone agreed to it, but we started out with a scoping study. And that scoping study told us you can't lose money on this project in a way due to the high grade. And at that point, the gold price was at 7,050 and not 5,000. So, you know, maybe being delayed, it happened for a reason. Someone knew that the gold price would go from 750 to 1750 to 5,000. I'm not going to take credit for that. We tried to move the project forward as fast as possible. So yeah, we could have probably done it in a different way, but we had limited resources. We made a business plan. We haven't done a PFS or bankable feasibility study or anything. So we've done it our way, which a large part of the industry don't like and they can't work with because it doesn't fit. The at least on the financing side, it doesn't fit the box. But we still managed to get our funding from a company in the US, Monetary Metals, who were willing to give us a gold loan at that point. And with that, we took a chance, all of us, so the shareholders, the lenders, the company, and we jumped into it based upon a plan. That plan could have been better, but here we are a few years later, and we're producing gold. We're profitable. We have a plan to accelerate and to move forward. Could it have been done differently? Well, and what kind of mechanisms to force anything through? This is an extremely remote area. You can't really force anything out of it. You have to trust the employees. You have to support them in the hard work that this is. Extremely hard work. But we did everything we could, given also that we were there building through COVID, through the Tigray war up in the north. We had our vehicles taken away because they were going to be used to transport military. We didn't get diesel. There was no cement in the country. There were no rebars. How can you build a foundation for a processing plant big as a football field when you have nothing? It also happened during the worst rainy season ever. Mud up to your knees everywhere you went, and you're trying to weld, you're trying to do rebar, you're trying to mix and pour cement. That effort by the team is probably the most important thing, and you couldn't really do anything else than to support it. Complaining or yelling or screaming wouldn't have helped anything. It's the support of the team and the effort they really put into this, and that's why we're here today. So some things you just have to accept, even in the market. This was, of course, only excuses for delays and poor planning. Well, that's fair enough, and yes, we could probably have planned better, but would it have really changed materially the timeline and the time frame? No, I don't think so. And here we are. But it's been extremely challenging. That's how it is. Even with a PFS or a better plan or an international contractor, we even outsourced the mining to a contractor, and that didn't work either. So, yeah, you have to try. And when it's not working, well, you have to change. And I think that's part of what we're doing. This company has changed every 3 months, more or less, since I took over, and will continue to change because we are changing. The environment is changing. The industry is changing. And being able to do that is probably the most important thing. So, yes, planning is good. Strong plans will help. But at the end of the day, it's up to the team and the availability and the possibility to work within the country that is the most important. And that goes all the way from security, customs, federal government, tax authorities, and everyone that wants to interact with you in some way or the other. Some helping, some wanting, to get their part of the cake in a way, and that's also something you have to deal with.
And I suppose following on from that, obviously you're operating in a very different culture and institutional context compared to typical Nordic mining setup. What leadership assumptions did you have to adjust? And I suppose why does simply applying Western management model often create friction? And I suppose what did you learn from building teams, accountability, momentum, obviously in a different environment than you're probably used to?
Yeah, so I have obviously learned a lot over the last few years. It's easy to be naive, of course, and think that what's working here will work there, and nothing is further from the truth in a way. It's impossible. You have to work within the local framework. In Norway, we have extremely flat management structure, responsibility delegated, people communicate across departments, across everything. In Ethiopia, you have an extremely silo-based management part system. There is only one boss in a way, and at the end of the day, that was me. So everything came all the way from the bottom, all the way up to me, and that was not sustainable in any kind of way. So we've tried to do a hybrid model. There's no way you can work yourself out of that local system. But we've tried to create a management group that is more open to work in a flatter system, and encourage them to communicate with each other, not through me, but with each other directly, solve things in country. They have 230 employees to work with. You're the management team. I'm more or less a support function. It's only myself and a finance manager outside of Ethiopia, and the rest is there, working to fix everything. So trying just to now facilitate communication, facilitate meetings, facilitate so that they can solve things internally. That's probably the most important thing. And there's a lot of good, strong, well-educated people in Ethiopia. They have 40 universities, 110 million people. There's not a single problem finding good people and strong candidates in Ethiopia. It's just about, being a listed company, working with that kind of compliance mentality, trying to get that all the way through down to site, what we can do, what we cannot do. That's a continuous work. And of course, we've had to change people along the way, but not much. And that's, I think that's where it all lies. You have to find a way in between here that will work from what I need as a CEO of a listed company to what call it they need running the mine every day with all that what that requires. Spare parts now, spare parts yesterday. It's urgent. It's continuously work in progress in a way to take us to the next level and be better at every step in the way we work.
Mining, I suppose, particularly gold in Africa, is often marked by short-term pressures and limited trust. How do you maintain discipline when investors push for, obviously, acceleration, sometimes even shortcuts?
Yes.
And I suppose, how do you decide when to compromise or when not to?
Yeah.
And I suppose moving on from that, is trust the most underestimated risk in mining, and how do you protect the integrity of the project when the pressure is at the highest?
Yeah, I think definitely trust is undervalued or underestimated. It's number one in my book. I'm a previous compliance officer from a couple of investment banks. It's in my DNA. I cannot compromise, even though I'm being told to compromise. That's just not possible. And if you start going down that route, there's no way back. Um, so you have to find partners that you can work with, people you can work with, that you can trust. But in addition to that, you can't be naive, and you have to work on systems that protect the company and protect single persons or individuals from doing anything. That's just how it is. But finding those trusted people takes time. Um, and when you find them, you're in a good spot. So we've always wanted, if I say Africa, gold and mining to investors here in Norway, this is the biggest red flag, even though fun thing is that it's probably more difficult to start gold mining or mining in Norway than it is in Ethiopia. So it's a bit, mining is doable actually in Ethiopia if you do it right. But this all boils down to me trust. You can't have anything else than 100%. Nothing is 90% trust. What we tried to do is then associate ourselves with good names. We used ALS all the way through because they're the best at doing assaying. We used SRK Perth on our resource modeling because they are the best. We've outsourced finance to Grant Thornton in Ethiopia because they're the best. We're using BDO in Norway and Sweden. So there is no other way for us than to associate ourselves with good names in the industry. We're working closely with MKS PAMP, LBMA approves refiner in Switzerland. That will hopefully soon ship our first batch too. And that gives credibility, and that credibility you need, but it will only last as long as it doesn't matter if you were credible yesterday. If you're not credible today, it's all over. So it's continuous work, and focus on that through training with our employees on what to do, what not to do. That's also a big part of it. But it's a continuous struggle in a way. That's just what it is, I feel, in this mining industry. And you'll be surprised in the end to see that even the people you trust, they're not there at the end. So yeah, that is extremely important, having the right people and having the right team with you to support the development. And just to say something at the end, there are a lot of things you can do, and of course a lot of things you can't do, but what you can do is try to support the development of the industry locally. That could also be against people working in the ministries or in the offices around, because training and support and development or infrastructure projects that will help the official mining industry or officers to develop, that's also good for us. And that's the way I think we can help and support in the best possible way, being it training, being it supporting with courses, or having people on site, training them from the ministry, doing trainee programs and all of that. That's really what we can do and what we should focus on and do more of. Just support the industry from that level.
And lastly, what does the next phase look like in simple terms? I suppose over the next 12 to 24 months. And what are some of your, I suppose, two or three top priorities that matter over that course of over that period of time?
Yeah. So after, I guess this is the small pitch in the end, maybe,
Yeah.
if you allow me. So we've come a far way from the beginning. Now we're producing, we're cash flow positive. We can finally lift sight from the mine and back onto exploration. So the mine is there. The mine will produce. We're doing a new vertical shaft that will close to 10 double the output by the end of the year. We're small. We're doing 6-8 kilos a month of gold at this time, even that profitable. And with the new shaft, by the end of the year, we'll be up to maybe 50 kilos a month. So that will be a huge increase in our revenues and profits. So partly, of course, repaying our debt is important, but start really looking at the rest of the area that we have to explore. In my view, that's really where the upside lies. So we're focusing now on restructuring our exploration strategy. That's most important now. See what kind of team we need. See how we move forward. What's the best way to get to the 100,000, 300,000, 500,000 ounces and more that we believe is there. We just need to structure the work, doing it in an efficient manner, keeping in mind that we're listed. We need to, try to find the gold or show some kind of results from that going forward. Then we have a big new area that we have a 1,200 square kilometer north of us that we've applied for, which will be a pure greenfield area. We might be looking at some gold and copper projects in Ethiopia. So for us now, it's about really turning outwards and look at expansion, primarily in Ethiopia now in the beginning, but the future we don't know. But really, the mine up and running this year with the new shaft, that's number one. Start now refocusing on exploration and proving up the resource we believe is there.
Jørgen, appreciate your time. Thank you for obviously sharing your story, telling us about obviously Akobo Minerals, obviously the challenges that you've had in Ethiopia, and obviously come out the other end in a very positive manner. And I suppose the only way is up now. And tell us a little bit about Ethiopia's mining as a mining jurisdiction. So really appreciate your time. If our audience wants to reach out to you, if they have any questions, want to obviously follow your story, how can they go about doing that, and what social media platform channels are you on?
We have our website, akobominerals.com. We're on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. They can always reach me on my email, which is my first name, Jorgen, at akobominerals.com. So that's the easiest way to get hold of us. And I try to respond to everyone that gets in touch with me.
Yeah, great. We'll include those in the show notes accompanying this episode for easy access. So thank you for your time. Hopefully you can come on the podcast either later this year or next year and give us an update.
I really hope so. Okay.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed that episode. We haven't had anyone speak about Ethiopia on the episode before, and it seems Ethiopia are open for business for mining companies. So appreciate if you can share this episode far and wide to all those that you know in the mining industry, no matter what country or continent they're in. So appreciate your continued support, and please keep sharing these episodes far and wide. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy mining.
Thank you for listening. Remember to reach out to Rob via the show notes, and be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Until next time, happy mining, helping each other to improve the mining industry.